Beyond Blue is a third-person adventure game taking place in various underwater locations across the Western Pacific. You play as Mirai, a sea diver on an expedition that involves following a whale family, scanning various flora for potential advances in medicinal technology, and learning of the numerous human activities that impact the lives of oceanic lifeforms. An important thing to underline about Beyond Blue is that it is primarily an educational experience. It is built to teach, plain and simple. Its storyline is fictitious, but its topics are certainly real. It showcases the actions and effects humans impose on the ocean and how they end up harming its inhabitants. It's not entirely a somber narrative, however. There are plenty of cheerful moments that will make you smile, and the game more or less does a good job at not overly pushing its heavy topics to the point where they feel on the nose. Playing as Mirai, you scout various spots located in a designated research zone, doing routine checks and analyses, but also live streaming your dives to an audience of viewers online. Through teaching them, she is also teaching you, the player, about plenty of interesting topics. Throughout the game, you work with Andre and Irina. Both of them are scientists, but Irina is also a businesswoman who runs her own company, driven by the pursuit of achieving medical advances through utilizing the underwater ecosystem. Explaining the story of Beyond Blue is not the simplest task in the world, because it's not exactly a clear-cut narrative. It is essentially a series of dives, each with their own objectives, some of which end up relating to each other. The whale family is an example of this. Throughout the game you follow a sperm whale pod, starting with the birth of a new whale. You will encounter these several times in the game, scanning them each time to make sure they are doing okay. You get to see them swim around, as well as hunt for prey. During this whole time, you learn more about how they go about their daily lives. Humpback whales are another case I can go over. Your objective for them is to replicate their sound, to learn more about how these whales interact with each other. Goals like this don't necessarily leap out at you as the most exciting things to do in the world, but that isn't the point. The point is to learn about why projects such as these are necessary in the first place. Like I said, the game's purpose is to teach. It doesn't shy away from some harsh truths either. Unfortunately, life is becoming harder to live for a vast amount of sea creatures, and some of that is thanks to human activity. There's a mining facility in the game that directly ties into this, being a part of the main story, and you get to see the trouble it causes face to face. But it also dedicates time to present the human cost for the researchers and the people who go out to sea for weeks on end. Mirai has a sister, Ren, who you regularly keep in contact with. At first I wasn't a fan of this part of the game, as I didn't see much point to it, but I realised it's there because although these people enjoy their work, they sacrifice a lot of their personal life, as well as precious time with family and friends, in order to do what they have to do. Taking all of this into consideration, it's a story that chooses to tackle a variety of subjects as opposed to having a singular, by-the-books narrative. It's not exactly a long one either. I finished it in about 3.5 hours. Despite that, the content is substantial enough to keep you invested, even if the quality of it is a bit superficial. It could have done more with what it had, but it does enough to jumpstart a player's interest in not only marine biology, but oceanography as a whole. Speaking of which, there is one more thing I need to go over before I move on to the next section. Alongside the story, the gameplay and everything else, you have real-life documentary snippets. These, again, cover a wide array of topics that are unlocked as you progress through the game. You'll usually get one related to something you've just discovered. For example, when you see active underwater vents, you'll unlock a video covering them. I had no idea these were in the game going in, and they were a fantastic surprise. They're quite short, but the quality is incredibly high, containing some insightful points of discussion while promoting some of the essential work that happens that the vast majority of people have no idea about. In essence, a lot of Beyond Blue reminds me of National Geographic's Mars TV show. In that, you had drama mixed with documentary. You had the fiction and the non-fiction blended together. Both have cut-and-dried stories that are trying to tell the viewer more than just what is happening. While Beyond Blue's story could be more impactful, its message does more than enough to succeed. As I mentioned before, the game takes place in the Western Pacific, so the environments and sea life you find are all things you would expect to see within this region. Each level you explore is located in a designated research zone for the expedition to work in, but they're all in different places, so they're all unique. Generally, you'll be going deeper into the ocean with every dive you set out on, going as deep as the Twilight Zone where you get to see a brine pool. Naturally, it gets darker the further you go down, making exploration a bit trickier, and also slightly creepier too. To reflect the real world, you'll encounter different kinds of life forms the further you descend, and the amount of sea creatures you can find is incredibly high, ranging from various small fish to sharks and dolphins. You can even find crabs, turtles, and octopi as well. And you've got the heavy hitters like whales, and also giant squid. Yuck. In terms of the environments, they're pretty much what you expect. Lots of rock formations that are covered in coral and other oceanic flora, with plenty of open space to swim around and take in the sights. You also have some enclosed spaces where you can get up close and personal with some of the fish. Alternatively, you can just swim up to a whale and give it a kiss too. You're given a lot of freedom. It's not an open world game, but the levels are big enough to feel expansive. There was never a time where I felt restricted. There are invisible walls that keep you in, but I rarely encountered them. Sometimes you have areas where you can't see the sea floor, and you'd think the game would stop you there, but you can keep going, and get jump scared by a whale. That happened to me a few times. Another thing that helps set some of these levels apart is the time of day. The game's lighting is excellent, and this is showcased even more by what time of day it is. Daytime makes the bright colours pop, whereas the evening dims things down, while also reflecting nicely off the skins of the animals. Speaking of which, the creatures look fantastic. The attention to detail is exceptional, and you can see that the developers did their research into their visual characteristics. Even the way they act and move in their environment feels real. By far one of the best aspects of this game overall. In terms of atmosphere, it's been nailed. Everything about it feels authentic, from the way it's hard to see far into the distance, to the sounds that the whales make when you are approaching them. Sometimes you'll hear the whales before you even see them, and that was astonishing to me. A nice little feature to finish this section on is the photo mode. I mean, it would be a grave missed opportunity to not have one, and what they have here is great. If you're one for taking photos in games, this will easily increase your playtime. If you're looking for an authentic underwater exploration game, Beyond Blue might have you covered. The only thing you'll have to contend with is the rather simplistic gameplay loop. That is what I'm going to go over next. The expedition that Mirai and her companions are on is composed of many objectives, from tracking a pod of sperm whales, to studying the sounds made by humpback whales, to helping Irina scan various plants in the hopes of finding potential leads in medical technologies. On top of all of this, you are hosting a live stream, showing the world the important work that goes on in the ocean. As you might have gathered, a lot of Beyond Blue revolves around whales, which is true, but it's not all about them. There are smaller plots that happen in each dive that showcase other animals, such as turtles, squid, and dolphins. The game covers a multitude of areas, most of which are crucial areas of research that are happening right now. But how does all of this translate into gameplay? How do you turn all of this into a game? This is where Beyond Blue might lose a few people. It is very basic. Most of the gameplay loop involves scanning things. Beyond that, no pun intended, you interact with various things, swim around, look for points of interest. There isn't really much else aside from that. Alas, let's first talk about what actually is here. I'll begin with the swimming, since that's a fairly integral part of what builds this game. It's pretty smooth for the most part. There was the odd time where I moved against things rather roughly, but outside of those instances I didn't really have any issues. You can swim at a regular pace, or sprint swim. I don't know what to call it. You can go faster is what I'm saying. You are equipped with a scanner that allows you to scan every life form you come across. Outside of main objectives, the advantage of using this tool is that it allows you to learn more about the creatures you find. The more times you scan a specific fish, the more information you can unlock, granting you more insight into their way of life. If you're a completionist, you'll very likely find yourself exploring every level as intricately as possible, to scan every single one you can find. I nearly did, to be fair. There is something quite fulfilling about finding one you haven't scanned yet, amidst a bunch you've already scanned. That's probably tragic to say, but hey, I enjoyed it. One thing I would like to talk about is something that I highly doubt Beyond Blue had any intention behind whatsoever, and that's the creepy factor. If you have thalassophobia, or experience any uncomfortableness about the ocean, this game might get to you sometimes. It didn't really get to me much to begin with, until I went to the Twilight Zone. This area is pitch black, and it just so happens that one of the main objectives in this area involves squid. I don't like squid. You have to find a giant squid. No thank you. I'm not going to be extreme and label this as a horror game, but there were a few times that were intense. Your mileage may vary on this one. You might be completely fine. You'll only know once you start playing. When it comes to interacting with things, it's very much a case of going up to it and pressing a button. Otherwise, it's just more scanning or locating the origins of an audio source or something to that effect. You can pilot a drone when going for a closer scan, and the controls for this drone are absolutely horrible, but apart from that, there isn't really much else. Nothing mechanically new gets introduced later on either, and if there is something that's different, you'll only see it once or twice. I will admit I am slightly disappointed by this. However, I do also realise that, like I've repeated already, this game's purpose is to teach. It's not here for spectacle. It's here to teach a lesson, and it's not going to do anything that would risk detracting from that lesson. Go in with that mindset and you'll avoid dissatisfaction. Well, it's safe to say that I know more about the ocean now than I did before playing this game. If we're looking at how it applies itself as a tool for education, then it's pretty easy to proclaim Beyond Blue as a standout success. It's worthy of merit. It tackles important issues that the average person might not even be aware of. Not everybody is going to want to watch a documentary or read a science book, so using video games as a medium for this type of thing is a brilliant idea. If you want to learn more about the ocean, I can easily recommend Beyond Blue as an entry point to that. In regards to how I rate it as a game, I can still recommend it, just maybe not as highly. While it does enough to engage, at the same time it feels very subdued. They chose to play it safe in order to convey important topics, which I can respect, but its simplicity is hard to ignore. That being said, its visual splendor and appealing storyline give it an edge that I feel makes up for its shortcomings. Not to mention the work that went into crafting the creatures as well as generating the game's consistently compelling atmosphere makes it a memorable experience that I can recommend to anyone. Just maybe on a discount. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed the video, then be sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe if you want to see more like it. Let me know in the comments what you'd like to see a review for. Until the next one, I'll see you soon. Bye.